Hey, what's up guys, Warrior93 here. Here's going to be yet another video on Dragon Ball. If you haven't heard already, it's actually the 30th anniversary of the original Dragon Ball anime. The 31st anniversary of the manga came in November, if I'm remembering the years right. Anyways, that must mean the manga's turning 32 this year, while the anime's turning 30 this year, because they had almost a 2-year part difference. Anyways, let's going past this. So pretty much the whole community is going to be having pretty much a huge party about this, and I didn't want to feel left out, so I was like, you know what, I should do something, do something. So if you haven't guessed already, I'm going to pretty much what the title says. I'm going to say 5 things that I like about Dragon Ball more than Dragon Ball Z, GT, or even Dragon Ball Super. Now, number 1, character development. Many characters have pretty much had some involvement throughout the series, and once it hit Dragon Ball Z era, that's when the characters were again like that. But Dragon Ball, pretty much everyone was involved in some sort of way in the story, even if they were not the biggest involvement. Now, the system was not perfect, because sometimes you would have an enemy come in, and then they were pretty much useless right after that. One being Yamcha, although some people think he was useful in other arcs. When you think about it, he wasn't really. He only won one fight, and it was against Goku as a kid at the beginning of the series. But I have to say, as a whole, when utilizing characters that Toriyama created and brought in there, you were left there was a lot left better than in the original than in pretty much the entirety of Dragon Ball Z. It's mostly because of the power level gaps that were introduced in Z with all these power-ups, and they're not as noticeable in Dragon Ball. So pretty much everyone had some kind of stance in there. This also helped with other side characters as well, as they were not put much in the background, like I was saying. This kind of like mostly involved Bulma though, as she was utilized more for her intelligence, and other things, because Toriyama. Although Dragon Ball Z, she was still helpful, it just wasn't as helpful sometimes. Number 2, Goku's character development. I get it. For other series, Goku's pretty much an adult and pretty much has his story kind of done, so you kind of have to bring in other characters that have some kind of story going on. And so Goku has received some type of development in Dragon Ball Z and even Super. I don't think any in GT. The original Dragon Ball is when you really see the Goku develop into adult. You literally see him grow up, and it's pretty much from a naive child. He just grew up to this guy who learned to love the world and love everyone around him, have all these wonderful friends, while wanting to be the best fighter in the world, which pretty much paid off in the end. It's still in Z, his character development is still in Z. It's just more apparent in Dragon Ball. Now, number 3, a well put together story. Now, although I like the Dragon Ball Z story better than Dragon Ball's, it's a very subjective opinion, but when you objectively look at it, Dragon Ball was a better, well put together story when you think about it. Now, hear me out, you Z fans who barely watch Dragon Ball, and you're just like, Dragon Ball Z all the way. Now, Dragon Ball starts from a young boy wanting to be the strongest, once he starts learning how to fight in these tournaments, and goes up on all these adventures collecting these magical orbs, and then ends up winning the tournament in the end, which he's been striving for throughout the whole series. Now, Dragon Ball Z, it has multiple endings, all making very well put the stories when the arcs are by themselves, but as a series, it's not all one story, it's multiple stories, and that's where Dragon Ball has the advantage. Dragon Ball has an end goal in the end, which paid off for the main character, so each arc would bridge itself into another. That was the help with the Tenkaichi Budokais, which, if you knew, Toriyama originally wanted to end it after the Pilaf arc, but things were going so well, luckily he had time to write it as if it wasn't the end. Now, I may be going on a limb here, but hey, why not? 4, they don't rely on transformations to win a fight. Okay, I know they don't rely on transformation to win a fight. So before someone starts being a keyboard warrior in the comments, you gotta hear me out on this one. Alright, this is a real big one. Now, this has always been a problem with Dragon Ball as the series went on. Enemies seemed to get unbeatable, then boom, let's pop into transformation, things went down. Like, again, I'm not freaking destroying Dragon Ball Z on this, but you gotta admit, sometimes there's points, especially in Dragon Ball Super, where they just randomly brought in Super Saiyan Blue, and you're just like, why is there already a new transformation? We literally just got God form, now we're going past God, what's going on here? So, that's the thing. But in Dragon Ball, there was really only one transformation, and that was Goku's Oozaru form, which wasn't even used for fighting, really. It was just kind of like a plot device to keep the story going, which didn't even get explained until the Z era came in. But really, this all just comes to fight choreography. Now, this all relied on strategy, and not just strength alone. You can be at a disadvantage, but if you think of a strategy, you can win the match. Now, Dragon Ball Z didn't completely abandon this, as you know, there are points in the series where they actually bring this up, but it's a lot more prevalent in Dragon Ball. 5. The sense of exploration. Now, I've always been a fan of Earth being the setting for the story. When we went to Namek, aesthetically speaking, I wasn't really a fan of, you know, looking at Planet Namek until the Goku vs. Frieza arc came in, where you actually had some kind of difference in it. And there was pretty much not that many characters left. Think about that. And then that's when I kind of, you know, started getting interested in that. But I was always a fan of the different types of environments that we've seen on Earth. But a problem that Dragon Ball Z had is when the characters are so fast now, we don't really have that time to explore the land because everyone can go so fast because they need to get to a place. We never really take time to explore these new places anymore. Now, Dragon Ball, really, everyone was grounded until Tien or Ten Shinhan showed that he could fly. Sure, Goku had the Nimbus or the Kintoten, but it was those stops that he did along the way while collecting the Dragon Balls that made it really interesting. We've seen many different environments and met many interesting people along the way. Now, this video isn't trying to say I don't like Dragon Ball Z or I like Dragon Ball, the original, better, but I'm just saying that even as a Dragon Ball fan, I do admit that I do like some aspects of Dragon Ball better than Dragon Ball Z, and vice versa. So those have been 5 things I think Dragon Ball did better than its sequel, Dragon Ball Z, and any other sequel after that. But what do you think Dragon Ball did better? Let me know in those comments below, and I want to wish everyone a happy 30th anniversary to Dragon Ball, as we were all fans of the series. Many of us fans since we were kids, and from like the 90s or the early 2000s, we all have a place of Dragon Ball in our hearts, and I really want to explore that. And this series really needs to get more out there, because not as many people know about the original Dragon Ball as much as Z. So I would want anyone, if you haven't watched Dragon Ball yet, go watch it. Go watch. The English dub is really awesome. You can watch the Japanese version. I plan to watch the Japanese version in the future, but just go watch it. It's awesome. It's an awesome series, and I want everyone to just go watch that. So, and make sure you hit that like button, show support for the channel, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video.